Namaste and good morning to all of you. So let's start the class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhuvava Swaha Tatsavitra Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Asto Ma Satgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityorma Amritam Gamya Om Sehna Vavatu Sehna Bhunaktu Sehviryam Karvavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi Om Shanti 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 Om. So in this class we are studying Bhaj Govindam by Adi Shankaracharya ji, and we ended our last class with verse number 22. It's a very short scripture but very sweet, and if you understand it properly, the message from Shankaracharya ji and his disciples, we know that this whole world, it's here for us to use but not get drowned into. Don't get attached to it. Okay, this is for our use. Don't get used by it. So this is what all these great acharyas they are telling us. So 22, he said, the yogi who wears but a godali, it's like a shawl, who walks the path that is beyond merit and demerit, whose mind is joined in perfect yoga with its goal, he revels in God consciousness and lives thereafter as a child or as a madman. So that means carefree. Doing the duties carefree, doing it properly, but not getting stressful about it, not getting attached to the results, having the mind always connected with the God consciousness. Okay, so this is what he's trying to tell us, this particular student of Adi Shankaracharya ji. His name is Nityanatha. So let's look at number 23 today. And this verse number 23 is spoken by Shri Yogananda. That's his name. KastvaM, ko.ahaM, kuthaH, aayaataH, ka me jananii, ka me taataH, iti paribhavye sarvamasaaram vichaaram swapan vichaaram bhaj Govindam, bhaj Govindam. Ka means who, tvam means you. Again, ka means who, aham, I am. Kutaha, from where? AayaataH, did I come? Ka means who, like a who is, me, my. Jananii, mother. taataH, father. Iti means thus. Paribhavye, inquire. Sarvam, all. Asaram, essenceless. So sar means essence. Asar means essenceless. Vishwam, the entire world of experience. Vishwam. Tyaktvaha, leaving aside. Swapan vichaaram, a mere dreamland, born of imagination. Bhaj Govindam, bhaj Govindam. Who are you? Who am I? From where did I come? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Thus inquire, leaving aside the entire world of experience. Essenceless and a mere dreamland, born of imagination. So he is playing out an individual's life of all kinds of relationships It's almost like an intricate web. This is our existence over here. Mother, father, brother, sister, whatever is happening around us. Sure, we need to have right relationships. Me and the objects, they're all around me. I need to maintain them. And I maintain them according to my understanding. Understanding of myself. So that's why we got to first know who are we. In life, we need to keep intelligent contact with the people, with the objects, with the situations, with the world around. So that's why it's very profitable if we know ourselves first. Because in our ignorance of ourselves, we become abnormal. Sometimes we are like a drunken fool or lunatic. Or sometimes the poison of ego completely moves our identification away from us. So that's why this great Acharya is telling us, observe closely, intelligently inquire. Whatever method you use, but end all the misapprehensions. These misapprehensions could be about the world outside. It could be the relationships also. Because wherever there is a non-apprehension, the misapprehension happens. So inquire about it. Because when the things of this world are not understood as they are, they start to play prank on us. So that's why any spiritual student, any sadhak is advised to inquire scientifically, logically about the subject in himself first. That's why he said, who are you? Subjectively inquire this. Inquire the source from which you have risen, mother and the father. Make a very rational intellect. So inquire where you have come from. Who are you? Who is really your mother? Mother gives birth. But we always also say that, God, you are my mother. You are my father. Who is my eternal mother and father? Who is my eternal friend? Who is ultimately mine and I am his? Inquire about that. He's not telling us to ignore the mother and the father who gave birth, but do not forget the eternal mother and father. Also inquire about it. Right now, it's not possible for us to inquire like this because our mind and the intellect is not readily available to us to do this kind of a subjective inquiry. Our minds most of the time are preoccupied with the enchantments regarding the world. And that's what he called vichaaram. This vichaaram word is a pregnant Sanskrit word. It has an endless depth and the width. It means all the experiences at the physical level, emotional level, intellectual level. That's all Vishwa. So he says, leaving aside the entire world of experiences, Vishwam, realize that it is essenceless. We are looking for essence in the Vishwa. He says it's essenceless. It is a mere dreamland, born of imagination. Swapan vichaaram. Just like Swapan doesn't have any essence, but while we are dreaming, we think that is it. So this is what this wish is also, just like a Swapan. Swapan vichaaram. There is a beautiful Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad. Over there, very logically, the Rishi has said that the waking state experiences are unreal as are our experiences in the dream. Things seen in waking are illusory because they are seen. Hetu. Then he says, like the things seen in the dream, as in the dream there is illusoriness for the things seen, so even the waking characteristic of being seen is the same. Hetu upanayana. These are the Sanskrit words used in that scripture. It's a very short Upanishad, but very deep Upanishad. If you ever get a chance, look into it. So he says, illusoriness of things should be declared. Nigamanna. So these kind of inquiries will reveal not only the hollowness of the world, saram, of all the names and forms of endless enchantments, but it will also reveal the empty vanities of the life we now live. This precious human life, we have spent hour after hour, day after day, month after month, running after this dream world. This is what he's trying to tell us. He says, inquire about it, sit back and think about it. Who are you? Who are you? Who am I? From where did I come? These are the questions we need to ask, because we got to leave this dream world also. Where will I go when I leave this world? Who is my father and who is my mother? Inquire, leaving aside the entire world of experience, which is essenceless and a mere dreamland, born of imagination. Okay, now let's look at the next verse 24. Tavai mai cha anyatra ekaha Vishnu vyartham kupyasi mai sishnu bhav samchitaha sarvatra tvam vanchasi yadi achirat Vishnu tvam bhaj Govindam, bhaj Govindam. Tavai, in you, my, in me, cha means and, anyatra, in all other places, ekaha, but one, Vishnu, all pervading reality, that is Vishnu. Vyartham, unnecessarily. Kupyasi, you are getting angry. Mai, with me. Sahishnu, being impatient. Bhav means become. Samchitaha, equal minded. Sarvatra, everywhere. Tvam, you. Vanchasi yadi. Yadi means if, vanchasi means you want, if you want. Achirat, soon. Vishnu tvam, the Vishnu status, the godly status, the divine status. In you, in me, and in all other places also, there is but one all-pervading reality, which is called Vishnu. Okay, so Vishnu name is used for Brahma also, the all-pervading reality. So Vishnu word is used for Vishnu avatar also, the sustainer, sustaining property. But over here, Vishnu means Brahma, all-pervading reality. Being impatient, you are unnecessarily getting angry with me. If you want to attain soon the Vishnu status, be equal-minded in all circumstances. So over here, the teacher is asserting the eternal truth, which has been the experience of thousands of masters for thousands of years in all different kinds of spiritual paths, the same experience, all pervading reality. In the Bhagavad Puran, it was called a long strider, Vishnu. Long strider. So there are certain truths which are so fundamental in science also, which needs to be repeated. Because intellectual student is thirsty for knowledge, hungry for variety, new ideas, fresh ideals, the truth, how it's declared. So intelligence wants that. But sometimes for some students, it becomes boring. From that standpoint, he is saying, do not get angry, have patience. So teacher must have noticed openly here. That's why he says, being impatient, you are unnecessarily being angry with me. Because sometimes people even say that. Same thing you are teaching every day. It gets boring. Even when they study Bhagavad Gita, they say that Lord Krishna is repeating himself again and again. But this repetition is needed. Repetition alone is the way for if the student, even if the student has already understood. Repetition takes that knowledge deeper into our psyche. There's no other way in which this subtle knowledge, because this knowledge is so subtle, it cannot be conveyed any other way other than repetition. So that's why this Acharya is saying, I'm saying it again, and I can see that disturbance on your face. Don't get angry. There is a scripture, Panchadashi, which says, only in the realm of multiplicity, there are doubts and explanations. In the experience of the oneness, there is no doubt, and therefore no answer is needed. Chodyam va pariharo va kriyatam dvait bhashyaha. Advait bhashyaha chodyam na asti na api tad uttaram. So as long as the student has not realized the highest, the teacher has to talk about it again and again and again. That is the repetition. But then the time comes when the student realizes the highest. So realization happens by going through it again and again. So that's why it is futile for you in your impatience to feel angry with me. The teacher is saying that. And in case you want to attain soon the great realm of peace, which is called Vishnuhood, then the teacher is advising, he says, be equal-minded in all circumstances. So if you're getting angry, if you're getting upset, you are not equal-minded. So when you are completely patient, when there's no disturbance in your mind, pretty soon you will realize the Vishnuhood. So please do not get angry if you are not having the experience of the infinite. Even after studying tons of scriptural literature, don't feel despaired. This knowledge will go deeper into the mind and it will have the effect. It's almost like sure, knowledge is good, theoretical knowledge, but ultimately assimilation of it and experiencing it, which really gives a real thrill. It's almost like to know of love is quite entertaining. That's why listening to the love poetry, love songs, watching the movies, sure, it's entertaining, but to experience love and be in it altogether, that is highly enriching experience. Okay, so studying the scriptures versus realizing this truth. So to know the scriptural contents and to intellectually appreciate the infinite reality, it is satisfying. But it's not what's called the Atam Sakshatkar. I'm sure most of you understand this word, Atam Sakshatkar. And in order to gain this experience, there's a question how to realize love. Urmil, how did we love our children? Nobody taught us the feeling of oneness. For a mother, nobody has to teach a mother to love the child. The child is an extension of a mother. Mother doesn't even see the child. The baby is in the womb and mother loves that child. So it's not that baby is beautiful, or baby is a male or a female, or baby has this color of hair or skin. Baby is mine. This mineness, it's mine. In old times when there was a marriages also, some of us got married like that. But even the generation before us, boy and a girl, they didn't even see each other. They are just sitting in that altar, under that mandap, with a veil. They did not see each other. Even the boys, they had that sera on their face. But they fell in love. Mine, my husband, my wife, my child. So this love for God also, when we know that it's mine. See, that's why in the previous verse, who is your father? Who is your mother? If we understand that he is our father, he is our mother, we will experience the love. Okay, so mineness, it's mine. That ownership. So in order to gain this, the Atma Sakshatkar, it is not sufficient that we have intellectually followed the scriptures or the textbooks or logically understood the arguments in the book. We have to accomplish it solely in our own heart. And therefore that there are some deliberate preparations of the mind which are unavoidable. Because our mind needs to be receptive to the subtle influences for the higher planes of consciousness. Mind which is just going into the objective world, we got to make it ready for the subjective world. And the secret is revealed in this verse over here. Practice equanimity of the mind, samachittam. While living in the world, We don't have to run away from the world while living in the world. Work on your mind. Practice equanimity. And what is equanimity? Keep it same in the desirable and undesirable happenings. Because those happenings will float down with the time. Good times will pass too, bad times will pass too. Learn to remain unshaken is the practice of even-mindedness, which is this Acharya is advising us. Keep an eye on your mind. The external world of objects and happenings can disturb us only when we have positive and negative vasanas in ourselves. That means we just want this and we don't want that. When that rag and dvesh is to the higher level, then mind will get disturbed. Because objects which are conducive to our existing vasanas, they'll attract us. And objects which are contrary to our vasanas will repel us. So that's why one person loves the smell of the cigarette. The other person cannot stand it. Same object. So in order to develop this mental equanimity, we must strive to filter away from our mind all the existing vasanas, the old impressions. And this is accomplished through, number one, dedicated actions. We are in a karam yoni. We got to stay busy, dedicate ourselves into some activity. Stay busy. Stay busy. A person who just sits back and does nothing and orders around, that is asking for a trouble in life. So dedicated action. Number two, devotion to the Lord. Learn to stay busy and think that you are doing it for God, no matter what you are doing. Because God is everywhere. Whether you are watering the plants or whether you are cleaning the bathroom or serving somebody or cooking food, cleaning, no matter what you are doing. There are workers outside for the last 1 week, repaving this ashram driveway. Yesterday I went outside just to see how dedicatedly they are working. Hard work all day long, in cold, working. But smile on their faces. It was almost end of the day and I asked them, I said, you must be tired. No, it's good. That is a dedication to the action. Somebody must have smoked there. There was a stub of the cigarette. Told them, this is an ashram. You're not supposed to smoke here. Oh, we won't do it tomorrow. We didn't know that. That is dedication. God is watching. God is watching through our actions, dedicated action, devotion to the Lord. Third thing is service of mankind, because God is everywhere. Serve. That's what Lord Krishna did. Himself, he did it. And in Bhagavad Gita, that's what he taught us. Then number 4 is contemplation upon the highest. And what is highest? Highest is God himself. And number 5 is constant study and reflection. So all of this, through this, we can accomplish what he is trying to tell us. Otherwise, if we try to just work on this mind of ours, which is a monkey mind or a drunkard monkey mind, or not just even a drunkard monkey mind, a drunkard monkey who has been bitten by a Scorpio. That's the kind of a mind we have. It cannot be controlled. But if we watch this, if we live a life based on these 5 principles, let me repeat it again: dedicated actions, devotion to the Lord, service to mankind, contemplation upon the highest. We got to look at it. Is my mind absorbed in the highest or in the lowest at any given time? And constant study of and reflection. This really reminds us of the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna said, Nityam cha samchitavam ishta anishta upatadisho. This is verse number 9 in chapter number 13, part of that verse. Constant even-mindedness both in desirable and undesirable circumstances. Ishta anishta. Ishta is desirable, anishta is undesirable. We cannot say that I'm going to keep my mind only if God keeps on blessing me. No matter what happens, still keeping the mind even. Another place, Lord Krishna even gave this definition for yoga. He says, samatvam yoga uchyate. This is in verse number 2, chapter number 2, verse number 48. He says the equal vision on all things and beings in all circumstances. This is what yoga is. Samatvam yoga uchyate. So then we can have this kind of equanimity of the mind. He says it will not take that long, achiret, or long, the experience of the infinite. That is the person who is called liberated while living, Jivan Mukta, because this person has experienced the Vishnutvam. So we all want to experience this, but then we have to do this, what I was telling you earlier. Then it doesn't take that long. It doesn't have to take like a 100 years or 100 lives. No. It can happen instantly. That's what achiret means. Okay? It can happen immediately. But we have to fulfill those conditions though. Number 25. Shatrau mitrehe putrehe bandhav ma kuru yatnam vigrehe sandhav sarvasmin api pashye atmanam sarvatra utsrij bhed agyanam. Shatru. Shatru is enemy. Shatrau means against an enemy. Shatrau. Mitre. Against a friend. Putre. Against a son. Bandhav. Against a relative. Ma means do not or never. Kuru, do. Yatnam, strive. Vigraha sandhau, for strife and for making friends. Sarvasmin api, in everything, everywhere. Pashyasi, atmanam, the self. Sarvatra, everywhere. Utsrij, lift away. Bhed agyanam, the sense of difference. And sense of difference is how it's born? It's born out of ignorance. Because otherwise it's all one, it's homogeneous. But our ignorance has created the differences. So he says, strive not, waste not your energy to fight against, or to make friends with your enemy, friend, son, or relative. Seeking the self everywhere, lift the sense of difference born out of ignorance. So don't struggle with it. Because when you start thinking that it's all part of me, there's no enemy. You will not hate anybody. See, just like in our own body, every part of our body, even though it's giving us a pain, any part of the body, we still love that part of our body. That leg which is giving the pain is also my leg. There is no enmity with it. But if somebody else, it could be my dear brother, dear sister, gives me a little disturbance in the mind, we start hating them. Even our children. So that's why he says, hatred can come only when we see the things hated as something other than us. Okay, it is a homogeneous oneness. Just like my leg is my own, I don't have to cultivate any purposefully intimacy with my leg. So in that sense, he says, strive not, waste not your energy. That this is my friend and this is my enemy. I never court my leg, not develop a special friendship with it. It's not necessary. In and through every cell in my body, I live at all spots. At all moments, I am myself in whole. From the top of my head, crown of my head, to the sole of my feet. At all times, I exist. So it is ridiculous for me to have a greater love for any part of my body, more than any other part. Even if my teeth unfortunately bite my tongue, I don't go and break my teeth. Because the tongue is as much mine as the teeth are. So automatically we feel total forgiveness for the teeth. We don't have to make any effort. We don't have to sing songs. Sure, we comfort the tongue, console the tongue that has suffered. The same thing should happen in the outer world also. The feeling of oneness. The whole universe has emerged out of one womb of reality, which is called Hiranyagarbha. So how can I afford to hate anyone? And nor is there anyone I need to court particularly and love especially. This is all manifestation, including me. So that's why this author of this stanza advises a true seeker of universal harmony around. Strive not, waste not your energy to fight against or to make a friendship with anyone. Be it an enemy, friend, son, or relative. Then somebody might say, what is the life of war? Excuse me. What exactly be the direction in which our emotional energy should flow out? Because we have that energy inside us. That emotional energy we use to make friends or even to hate somebody too. So this Acharya is giving the answer in the closing two lines of this verse. If you are a seeker of the fuller life, if you are thirsty to have this harmonious existence, if you are hungry to taste and enjoy the essence of life, seek to realize the one reality which holds together the whole universe into one garland of beauty. Because this is like a garland. Different people, different plants, different animals, different stars, different suns, different moons. But what is holding them all together? That substratum which we call Brahma. See, just like in a garland, there is a thread which goes around, holding all the flowers together or all the gems together. The same way, this is godly energy which is holding us all together. Remember, this universe is a cosmos, not a chaos. There is a mutual affinity. There is a scientific law. There is a rhythm of a mutual relationship over here. That's how this entire living world is held together. And this web, or what is held together, is love. It's almost like a thread of love, a web of love. In a loveless life of hate, meanness, littleness of heart, and a very limited point of view, there is nothing but suffocation, sorrow, and agitation. That's why these acharyas, they are telling us to expand. Expand to that level where you are direct contact with that infinite, the great, that Vishnu. So they are telling us to shift our attention to this central source of beauty and song. And that will be rewarding for us. So in author's own language, he says, see the self everywhere and rise above the sense of difference, which is born out of stupidity, ignorance, avidya. We all know that when our beloved children, when they were little, or grandchildren now, when they play with mud, no matter how dirty their hands are, or their feet, or even face, we don't see the mud, we just see the child. Same way, develop the vision to look far beneath the externals of life. Watch for that one substratum, detect that substratum. And that's called Vishnu. In Bhagavad Gita, again, chapter 6, verse number 5, Lord Krishna said, Atma ev atmano bandhu atma ev ripu atmana. He says, you yourself is your own friend, and you yourself is your own enemy. When we see with the loving eyes, everybody is ours, we become our own friend. So contact this infinite self, rise above the sense of difference. He, you, they, I, that is the difference. Sure, from a reference point, sometimes we use those words, but in our mind, we should always remember we are all one. In case if anyone in the world feels unhappy, miserable, neglected, wretched, if you can help them, help them. We automatically try to find faults in them. But actually, fault is in our own understanding. The moment we start loving honestly, sincerely, unconditionally, love of the same depth and texture reaches back. That's why they say that what we receive in the world is but an echo of our own heart's cry. What we see in other people's faces is nothing but a reflection of our own features. So to recognize the one eternal source, expressing through all names and forms, is to change the very nature of our environment. Thursdays we are studying kanthaH. This cardinal truth is, we'll see that. Over there, we'll see in the second chapter, second part of the second chapter, verse number 9. The Yamaraj is going to say, just as one fire having reached various wicks expresses itself as different flames, so the one truth burning in different hearts expresses as the good, the bad, the wretched, the noble. We have studied Ishavasya Upanishads a few weeks ago, a few months ago. Over there also the same declaration. taataH na vijukpste. That was verse number 6. If you want to go check me out. Having realized this one substratum in the universe, the man of realization has thereafter no occasion to feel repelled, jugupsa, repelled, from anything or from any situation. That is the evenness of the mind. Again, just like a mother can not have any revulsion for her own child, because child is a part of her, parcel of her own life existence, we should feel part of this whole creation. Again, let me remind you, another beautiful verse we studied in Ishavasya Upanishad, Tatra ko moha ka shokaha ekatvam anupashyata. There, what delusion then? What sorrow can reach where one experiences the oneness everywhere? So these acharyas are taking our attention to that oneness, not the division. The unity among the diversity. We just look at diversity all the time, and that's where the sorrow and the agitations and the stress comes from. Unity in diversity. So let's end the class here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om.